Spencer Le Cuisinier Menage, the household chef, and today we're going to make another island classic. It's called Shoyu Chicken. Very popular in Hawaii. You'll find it at almost every plate lunch place there is. Very easy to make, and I'm going to show you how it's done. Shoyu chicken's quite easy to make. First thing we're going to do is put together a marinade, and after we do that, we're going to go ahead and brown the chicken separately. And after we brown the chicken, we'll go ahead and add the marinade back in with the chicken, and we'll braise that. And after about 30 minutes, that marinade turns into a beautiful sauce, and the chicken should be done. This is classically served over rice, and I've done a previous video on how to make rice in a pot. So today I'll just do a quick addition on how to make rice in a rice cooker. So anyway, let me show you how simple this is to do. So I'm going to start putting together the marinade. And in different recipes, you'll see slight variations, but I'll explain to you what I do with mine. I try to keep it as classic as possible. But here is, I'm going to start with all the wet ingredients first. Here's a cup of soy sauce. And then we have 3/4 of a cup of chicken stock. I have 2/3 of a cup of pineapple juice. And this is where sometimes you'll see this, sometimes you won't. And what I like about that is it adds a sweetness and it also adds some acidity, and it really makes this a really good marinade. And also here is a 1/4 cup of rice wine vinegar, also to add a little acidity to help cut that salt from the soy sauce. Now I have 1/2 cup of brown sugar, and you'll see some people use white sugar, some people use brown sugar. I like to use the brown. And then what we want to do before we add the dry ingredients is just mix this all together to make sure that all the sugar has melted and dissolved into the marinade. And now we're going to add 1.5 tablespoons of minced ginger. You could also grate it if you'd like. This is a very important part of the marinade, as well as the garlic. Makes it quite classic. This is 2 tablespoons of minced garlic. And there you have your marinade. So I've taken a high-sided pan and added about 1 tablespoon of olive oil to it. Now I'm just going to lightly season the chicken on both sides with some salt and pepper. There's plenty of salt in the marinade, but we do want to season these before we brown them. And adding color, of course, always adds flavor. So that's why I do this ahead of time. You'll find some recipes where they don't brown the chicken first, but I find this makes it amazing. So one thing I did not mention earlier that I want to is that this is basically 2 pounds of bone-in chicken thighs. And so that marinade was the proper amount for that. So if you're going to use 4 pounds of chicken, just double the amount of the marinade. Okay, so now we have the oil hot. And it's just time to brown the chicken, maybe a couple minutes on each side, because we're going to finish it in braising it in the marinade. Nice down there. And the trick with chicken is you don't want to move it right away. Let it sit for a minute. So here we have a nice brown color. Give it a little flip. A couple more minutes and we'll remove that. So I browned the chicken nicely, and I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to remove the excess fat here, add the marinade back in, and then we'll braise the chicken for about 30 minutes, which also means just bring it up to a simmer. So you can see all these wonderful bits of cooked chicken in the bottom that remain after I've removed the excess fat. That's called the fond. It's going to add some tremendous flavor to our marinade. So I'm going to go ahead and add the marinade now, and we'll bring that up to a simmer, and then we'll add the chicken and let that simmer for about 30 minutes. So the marinade came up to a nice simmer, so I've added the chicken and I put it skin side down. In 15 minutes I'll flip it over and cook the other side. I've left the lid off because I want the sauce to reduce, or I want the sauce to thicken, and that'll help. And if it needs more thickening in the end, I'll show you how to do that with a slurry, which I've also shown in a previous video. Very simple way to thicken the sauce with a little cornstarch and water if necessary. So it's time to put together the rice, and I have some jasmine rice here. This is my rice cooker pot. Just put in as much as you want, and you're going to find that this is very similar to the way I made rice in a pot. So you add the rice you want, and then we'll go ahead and we're going to rinse it about 3 times to get some of the starch out of it. and dirt. You can see how it's kind of quite white. You can use your fingers, and we'll rinse it. We'll do this about 3 or 4 times. You don't want the water to necessarily be clear, but you definitely want it to be a lot of this white to be gone. So you can see the difference. The water is getting much clearer. That's probably about the right amount there. And then the trick is, just like with the pot, you fill up the water, stick your finger in just to this line on your index finger, and that's enough water. And now the easy part, we just simply turn it on, put the lid on, and in about 20 minutes we'll have some perfect rice to go with our shoyu chicken. Okay, it's been about 15 minutes. Time to flip the chicken over, stir up the sauce a little bit. So it's been about 30 minutes and we are finished. So I'm going to remove the chicken one last time, and I'm going to skim just to make it a nice clear sauce. So I don't want all those bits of garlic and ginger in there. So I'll have a nice clear sauce for us. And we put this chicken over rice with a bit of green onion. You're going to love it. So just skim out the remaining bits of garlic and ginger. And this is where you check the consistency. And I think this is the perfect consistency for the sauce. You really don't want it too thick. You want it kind of a classic shoyu chicken, is a bit runny on the sauce, and that's exactly what this is. So I'm very happy with this. And little bits of garlic and ginger, okay, you know, just a few. You just don't want to overwhelm your sauce with it. And for the garnish on top, I do like to use both ends of the green onion, so use a little bit of the white side. Okay, we are ready to plate this. Let me just show you how this rice came out. The thing pops, it says it's done. Look at that, beautiful. So here we go, we're ready to plate. And one of the things I wanted to mention too is this is called shoyu chicken, which means it's soy sauce. So if you need it a little less salty, you could use a lower sodium soy sauce. You could also, if it comes out a bit too salty, you can add a little bit more of an acid, so a little bit more vinegar, or what I recommend is a little bit more of the pineapple juice, and that will make this just wonderful. Now we just sprinkle a little green onion. And there you have your shoyu chicken.